Hello, hello.
Good afternoon, Soul Train Cruisers.
Good afternoon. Are we
Oh,
having a good time?
come on,
Oh, wow, we
yes.
got a good crowd.
All right, so I'm Angela Stribling. I am the co-host of the one and only.
Tony Cornelius.
Yes.
And this is.
Well, you know what? This is all access, and we're all so happy to be here, right? I know you are because I heard some of you on the elevator just racing to get here. So the moment has arrived, and I always like to let the one and only Tony Cornelius do the honors of introducing our guest. How about that?
Man, I am so excited about this woman. She has been unbelievable. People are in tears watching her perform.
Including myself.
And I'm going to bring her out right now.
Go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Regina Belle.
Very funny. Very funny. Tony, you know what? I think if he wasn't doing the Soul Train cruise, he would be a stand-up comedian. All right, I'm going to do the introduction. The one and only. Are y'all ready for this? This is my girl. And as Tony just said, she brings it every time she's on the Soul Train cruise or whatever stage. Put your hands together for Regina Belle.
You know, that was a little joke that I thought I would trick Angela on that one, but she caught me.
Full of surprises. Okay, yeah, the dimples, thank you. So, how many of you checked out my girl Regina Belle in concert? Can I just ask her this question?
Oh my God, unbelievable.
Regina, what do you do to step it up concert after concert? Like, people could say, I've gone to a Regina Belle show, and, you know, that's cool, I'm good with it. But you have to go to every show. Why is it always better than the last show? What are you doing?
I don't know. I think you should ask them that. Listen, I'm so appreciative of everyone coming out and hanging out with me. I never take that for granted because you can be anywhere, go anywhere, buy any record. So I always want to give the very best that I have to give. And so in the words of the great Blue Lovett, you should always make the people feel like they're in your living room. And that's what I try to do. I try to make people feel like you're at my home, that, you know, I am entertaining you or you're a guest in my home. And so thank you. That's right, Blue Lovett from the Manhattans. And he's always, even though he's not here physically, he's always in my heart and in my mind when I'm on stage, because I think out of everybody that has ever mentored me, he and Gerald Alston probably have, I think, put the whammy on me more than anybody. So. Yeah.
So, you know, I always wanted to ask you this question. Where did your voice come from? I mean, this voice is like from heaven. I mean, was it something that you had as a very young person?
My mom said I was singing before I actually knew how to talk. Wow. So I've been singing a long time. I started singing in what, you know, some of us who maybe been in church our whole lives, like me, some of the churches called the Sunshine Choir. For us, it was called the Junior Choir. And I started singing there when I was like 3. I sang my first solo when I was 8. And I did my first professional gig at 12, and I'm 56. So I've been doing this a long time.
Fantastic.
It's in her DNA. You know, it's obvious that you have such a love for the Manhattans and them taking you under their wing at such an early age. I think it's beautiful that you're still in touch with them and still, you know, considering them a part of your family.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've gotten some of my greatest lessons being on tour with the Manhattans. A lot of people don't know this, but coming out of high school, well, let me go back a little bit. Englewood, New Jersey is where I grew up. And down the street from my home was Sugar Hill Studios. So I used to go down there a lot to do like some background work with Sylvia and Joe Robinson. And so I worked with Sequence, which was the first group that the original Angie B, which is Angie Stone, was a part of. And I went on tour with them when I was 17. And my mom said, I'm going to need you to hang up your sequins. and going to college. So I was like, well, Ma, this is what I want to do. And she's like, okay, that's good for the other friends of yours out there, but you live in my house. And so I put in different applications to go to different universities, and I was trying to go to FAMU. And my mama said, nope, that's too far. I was like, lady. So I ended up, I got accepted to Rutgers. She said, now Rutgers is a good school. I said, yeah, because it's 45 minutes away from the house.
Mom was not playing.
So I ended up at Rutgers, and in my last year at Rutgers, I was begging God, please, I don't want to be an accountant. I don't want to be a history teacher, and that's what I was in school for. So I was like, Lord, you're going to have to work this out. I got to get out of here, and I know I can't do this. Wow. And I had sung the Black National Anthem at Livingston College, where my husband is actually, where I first met him, for a Lisa Cult Jam and Entombed concert.
Oh my goodness.
Vaughn Harper was the voice. He was the MC for the show, and he heard me sing. And so, you know, Blue was looking for a female to sing their new song, Don't Say No to Love, that they had done in the studio. But the person they did it with couldn't go on the road, so they called me. Vaughn called me and said, I want you to come and audition. Now, everybody else had this opportunity they had been having auditions for like 3 weeks. I get the call overnight, and I got to come in there knowing the song. And because, you know, I was always taught you don't go into an audition with paper.
Right.
What you don't know, you make up. And so I went in there and sang the song, and Gerald says, I like her because she don't mind getting ugly to sing the song. I couldn't make out if that was a compliment or what. But needless to say, I got the job, and I was able to go on tour with the Manhattans for 2 years before I actually got discovered to do my own thing.
Oh, wow. Do you miss the Manhattans at all?
Like crazy. I'm so glad they're going to be on this cruise. I don't know what to do because I get to see Gerald. I get to hug him and just tell him how much I love him. Blue and Sonny and yeah, Kenny, they've all gone on to glory, but I still got Gerald. And
Wow.
and it means the world to me to be able to still have a piece of my beginning.
No, it's so amazing that you're able to sing with people. You know, I mean, people will be on the cruise as well, and it's just amazing that you can just, you know, put it together like that. Is that difficult?
Now, you know what's crazy? I met Peebo. I was in college, and I was a part of the Black Student Congress. And so I was representing African Americans, and the fact that we weren't getting artists to come and play that, you know, we wanted to hear. I mean, it was a lot of great artists coming through there, Twisted Sister, but, you know, all of us wasn't listening to them. And so I went to bat along with the Congress to say, you know, hey, we want to hear, you know, Phyllis Hyman, we want to hear Peebo Bryson, we want to hear all of the acts that were really hot at that time. And so the first time I met Peebo, I brought him in with Phyllis Hyman, and Roberta Flack just was tagging along. So wow. Can you imagine? No. I lost my entire mind. Because I'm like, oh, my God, I got Mr. Feel the Fire up in the house. So I remind him of that occasionally when we're working together. But, you know, to come full circle and, you know, even when I was touring with the Manhattans, to be able to be on the stage with, like, the OJs and the Stylistics and all of these people that I grew up listening to, just admiring and dreaming. Because they gave me the dream, looking at them saying, I can do this too. So, you know, what an amazing journey this has been. I wouldn't trade this for nothing in the world.
Your journey is amazing, and you touch so many people, not just with your music, but with your life. You have such a story. You know, you went through some major health challenges, and you're not afraid to talk about it.
No, I'm also a minister. So I don't believe that you can help people if you're willing to hide everything that you've been through. At some point, you have to be transparent. Now, my husband is the pastor of our church, but he tell everything. I'm going to leave something for Jesus, okay? I'm not telling y'all everything.
Something for Jesus.
Right. But,
I've never heard that expression. I'm going to leave something for Jesus.
you gotta leave something for Jesus. I mean, you can't know everything. But the big thing is that in 2009 I suffered a brain tumor, and I had to have emergency surgery. And the surgery that it was only supposed to take a couple of hours, it ended up taking 8 hours, and it was only supposed to take one surgeon, and it took 6. And I bled so bad they had to close me up and finish the surgery 6 months later. So during that time, I had to kind of relearn how to, do things, walk, and all of that. And I think it was one of the most humbling experiences in my life, because I'm responsible for 14 people on the road. And then now here it is, I can't even put on my sleeve of my shirt without help. And so it's a place where I again, like I said last night, it was a place of an audience of one, just me and God. And where I was kind of asking, because, this is also on the turn of me having done this gospel record. And I was like, really? We about to get down like this? I mean, I'm doing the gospel record, and this is what's in store. Lord, this don't really seem fair.
Right.
I had questions. I know that, the elders of the church say, you never question God, babe. Well, I failed that test. Okay. Horribly. Okay. But at the end of the day, when I got ready to go on stage for the first time, it was the Capitol Jazz Fest. I'll never forget it. And I was walking on stage, and for the first time, the whole time I'm asking God these questions and wondering why am I going through this and the whole nine, and not complaining, but just curious as to why now. Because prior to that, I had been in the industry for 25 years. I never missed a gig. I was never late. I mean, I take serious pride in what I do. And so, I'm looking at it like now I had to cancel a tour. And I thought doing a gospel record, I have to start from square one. And my song hit number 2 on the charts, only second to Bishop Marvin Sapp's Never Would Have Made It. I'm like, Lord, you really blowing my mind. So I'm seeing all of this, and then I'm having to see it from the bed. And it really kind of took me out. So as I'm walking on stage for the first time, almost a year now from the surgery, I hear a small voice say, now when you sing God is good. And I'm like, wow. I mean, it was so loud. I thought somebody was standing next to me. And so what it was the Lord was letting me know that when you say God is good, it's not going to be a cliche. It's not going to be a church saying, but you're going to understand that, you thought you was handling things. You thought along with your husband that the two of y'all were making sure that the house was tight. But I was getting checks from places that, they said they like BMI. I got a check from BMI. They were looking for 3 years to find me. I don't know how I'm hard to find, but, I got a check of 3 years of revenues. Wow. So I'm saying that, the Lord was letting me know that, as much as you think you're running the ship, you ain't really running things. I got you.
Truth.
No, this leads me in the next
beautiful.
question. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. It leads me into the next question as far as you becoming a representative to AARP. Can you give us kind of some information on how that came about? And
it's crazy because as a representative for AARP, the thing is that I've been on both sides of the spectrum. So I've been the person that's been cared for, and I probably wasn't the best patient. I'm gonna just go ahead on and put that out there. I was so blessed, and the thing I want to talk to you all about is that in those situations where you have to kind of settle in to take care of somebody, you got to remember it's not always the person who you think is equipped to do it, right? Because a lot of the times we think if the youngest sister or the youngest child is at home, that'll be the one because they still living with mama and papa. But that ain't always how it works out because they're not necessarily ready to do this job. This is a serious job, and it takes enormous patience and love to be able to get through this. So for me, I have 5 children, 4 girls and 1 boy. And all of my kids I know love me. I know my husband love me, right? But they were not ready for what they were meeting up against. My husband was still having a pastor. He was still doing what he was doing. My kids were young and in school. So my niece left from New York City from a job that she was working on pharmaceuticals and came to Atlanta just to take care of me. And the great thing about it is that she got my house in order. So, you know, even down to the bills, because she was a math student, you know, she got I never saw my bills. They were like, she had a spreadsheet, was color coded.
Oh, goodness.
Look, she took joy in his numbers are like her life, okay? So she just lit up at the opportunity to be able to do this. So, and she got the house in order. So in other words, every person that had a gift, she put their gift in place to be able to do what needed to be done so that the house would run smoothly. And so I remembered that. And so now when my brother, many years later, my brother is amazing in his own right, Bernard Belle. He worked with Michael Jackson. He wrote Remember the Time. He worked with the Winans, Patti LaBelle. He wrote We Have Something in Common for Bobby and Whitney. He wrote God is Good for me and a number of other songs. So my brother's really, like, I always tell people he's way more talented than me. And 3 years ago, he suffered a massive stroke. And so now I have to turn around and be caregiver to him. So I had to have him brought from New Jersey into Atlanta, where me and my husband live, to be able to watch over him, take care of him. Outside of that, my parents are 81 years old apiece. But it's about the village. Yes. It's about incorporating a village. I can't do this by myself. Right. You know, right now, my dad is, I got word that prior to coming on here that, you know, he's in stage 3 cancer. And so I had to kind of, you know, set things in order. My son is driving my dad back and forth to get his radiation treatments. Mm-hmm. Look, I said to my dad, I was like, Dad, you know, I'll stay. I won't go. I said, I know they'll understand. My father said, girl, you must be crazy. I promise to God, that's what my dad said. He said, look here, I ain't going nowhere. I'll be here when you get back. Okay. Go ahead on and make our money. My dad is a character, I'm telling you.
I got to tell you, I love your parents.
He is a character. But the great thing about it is that I had to incorporate the village. Yeah. I had to understand I can't do this by myself. And even my husband, he makes me understand. He said, hey, ask them to do what you need them to do. If that person doesn't get it done, then we go to somebody else. But we can't sit around getting mad or making our blood pressure go up because somebody's not doing what we would do. We have to understand that people are not who we are. And so at the end of I'm preaching to myself, y'all. And so what we have to understand is that there are people willing and ready to do the job. You just have to kind of delegate and relegate the responsibility. And so what I tell people all the time across the United States, as a representative, I tell them, you know, you have to look into, if your parents or whomever you're caring for, look around to who their friends are. A lot of the time, the people that are closest to them will step back when family comes in because they feel like it's not their place. Well, you know, no. I need you to come in because you know some stuff I don't know. You know, you need to talk to the church. If they go to church, there are usually some other people there that will help you. If nothing else, do the running around to get medications. Go to the grocery store. Maybe somebody is a CNA and they be able to help you with washing and caring for the person medically. So it's a lot of things, and AARP is really, really a great resource. I promise you, if you get on there, you'll be in there a whole day looking at the resources that they have that help you if you just want to get outside and go scream.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I've gotten in my car many a days and just screamed and said, Lord, how come? And he said, oh, she at it again. She asking them questions
it's
again.
interesting how you say that because, many times as you get older, you get mail from AARP. And I can't tell you how many times I've torn it in half.
Yeah,
You and me
right,
both.
right.
Okay,
Did
like,
you
that's
get
not me.
Did you get yours at 45?
This is for somebody
like I did?
else.
Did you get
You
yours
know.
at 45 like I did and got mad about it? Like, I ain't even 50, really?
Listen, I stopped counting at 25, so I'm still 25. But secondly, my mother shared a story with me years ago on how she quit her job to take care of my grandmother. And these things happen to families, and you just don't know when that day will come, depending on who it is and what it is.
And we're living
and what to
longer,
do about
right?
it.
We're living
Exactly.
longer, but we're not always well. So we're living longer, but we're sicker sometimes. Right. And so, it's good to be educated and not wait until it hits you, because that's the thing, you become overwhelmed. I mean, I was scrambling when my brother, even though I had to be cared for, I kind of had my finances and stuff. I wasn't in a situation where I was hospitalized for the whole year. So I was at home and I was getting care from different doctors and the whole nine. But my brother was a different situation where he was bedridden. So I had to know the difference between what Medicare covered, what Medicaid covered, how come he can't get Medicaid, and what do I need to do, what is a QIT. I had to figure out all of that stuff. And it can become overwhelming if you're not, educated in these areas. And that's why AARP is so good, because you can get on the phone literally with somebody and they will run it down to you to the point where you're like, wait a minute. I'm going to call you back tomorrow. What's your name, baby? Because this is a little bit too much
A lot
right
of
here.
information.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so good. I mean, they definitely picked the right person for their spokesperson, right? So much information. And, I was sharing with you backstage, my sister is the caregiver for my mother, and she's so overwhelmed because, like a lot of people, they think they've got to do everything. But as you just explained, use all of your resources. It does take a village. Let's bring it back to Soul Train.
All right, come on.
Let's talk about your relationship with Soul Train back in the day.
Oh, my gosh. First of all, your dad was so intimidating, okay? Because first of all, he does his homework, right? I get on and he's asking me questions about college, and I'm like, first of all, how do you even know I went to Rutgers? Really? I mean, he's asking me questions about my background, and he asked me questions about my inspirations. Billie Holiday and Donny Hathaway were my biggest musical inspirations. And so, being able to talk about that, I wanted the power that Donny always exuded, and then I wanted that feminine thing that Billie Holiday had. And I said, if I could pull the two of those together, that I really have something, really powerful. And I call them the Afro, meeting the Afro, because that's what I grew up with. Watching Don Cornelius on Soul Train. I just meeting him was so intimidating, but then the most warmest, wonderful man I could have ever met in my life, and really bringing my life into full circle, saying that this is something I grew up with, watching all the acts that were on Soul Train. Again, this was a part of my dreaming process, watching all of them and saying, wow, one day that's going to be me, and speaking it, prophetically, and not even knowing that I was actually going to be on that stage one day. So, Soul Train, I owe so much to the whole experience. I owe so much to, and not just right now, but just, helping me through the years develop my dream of being who you see right now.
It's interesting also. Oh, that's just beautiful. Earlier, I was talking to, while we were in a hotel before coming on the Soul Train cruise, I was telling her that I had a favorite song, and it was the song If I Could. And that song just knocks me out every time I hear it. And, you know, I wondered where that song really came from. Does that have any history, if I could?
The song, when I first heard it, Nancy Wilson sang it. And I was actually in a club in New York City with Mickey Howard. And I didn't have any children then. And I was listening to her sing, and you would have thought that we drank up everything in the club because we was crying and boo-hooing and carrying on, and people's looking at us like, what is wrong with them? But, I mean, it just, first of all, there's not anything that Nancy sings that doesn't touch you right to the core, right? And so she sang it, and it's just like when she sings, it's always a story. You know, when she sings, you hear a story, you see a story, you are part of the story. And so hearing her sing this, it just touched me so. And so many years later, when I actually did have children, Greg Fillingames said, you know, it would be great if you did this song, and he and Nick Martinelli. And I was like, y'all must be crazy. Have y'all heard Nancy sing this song? As my grandmother said, you ain't trying to make a fool out of me, is you? And so, you know, Greg said, no, you got kids now, so, you know, it'll ring true with you too. And I was like, look, you get 2 shots at this. If this don't work out, we gonna can this. And I'm so glad that I did it because it has become one of my signature songs. And when I recorded it, I got my baby girl, Ty, at the time. I think she was maybe 2. And I got her at the end. She said, Mommy, I love you. And it's just, that just brought it all home for me. It just everything.
You know what? I was at a concert years ago, one of your concerts, and you talked about Nancy Wilson and how she influenced you as a lady. You know, being in this business, you see a lot of young women just, you know, hardly any clothes on. Nancy Wilson was always very elegant and very classy. Yes. And you acknowledged how you definitely got that from her.
Nancy put it like this. She said, baby girl, everybody can take their clothes off. She said, Tina Turner did it, and ain't nobody did it like her since, in my opinion. So she told me, I sit down in my gown, and she crossed her legs, and she said, I want to give fantasy to what it is that I do. I want you to imagine what it would be like to be with me.
Oh, that sounds
she
just
said,
like
I don't
her.
want you to see everything. She said, that's reserved. And she made it a point of telling me that, and I never forgot that. And, you know, the thing she told me, she said, integrity is never for sale, because once you sell that, you can't get it back. And so that rang true with me.
I'm sure she'd be honored to know that you do share that story. I mean, even in concert.
Yes.
So she was definitely one of your
Well, Regina,
influences as well.
tell us a little bit about the Grammys that you won. You won a couple
Yeah,
Grammys.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you something. That night, I think my mouth was just broken because I smiled so much. It was like I had a smile permanently on my face. I couldn't believe, you know, I am the person, Atlantic Star, the lead singer, Lisa, she was talking about it, and she was saying how when she was younger, how the brush was her microphone, you know, and the broom was my microphone because I needed a stand with my mic.
Okay.
And so I would be singing, and I'm moving around the house and doing. So when you're doing all these things, you know, I accepted many Grammys, you know.
I love her.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Thank you so much. I like to thank God. I want to thank my parents. See, I've been thanking the Grammys a long time. So, look, when I finally get there, it's like. Because first of all, I'm in a category with Vanessa Williams, Patti LaBelle, and I can't remember. It's 2 other, and I'm like, how did I even win this? How did I even get in here like this? And then the song goes on to win not just Best Duo, but it wins 4 Grammys, and it wins an Oscar. So it's like, I'm like, I can't believe this is like blowing my mind. This is a dream come true. I always saw in my future singing and music, but I didn't see all of that. You know, the traveling and all of that. I never, to sing before kings and queens, I never ever saw all of that. So the Grammy is, I think musically, is the highest accolade that you can receive. But I later on, you know, wisdom, I'm so glad it comes with age, and you don't get it when you're young because you're too stupid to really know all of that. But as I got older, I started understanding that the Grammy is a great thing because guess what? It's a door opener. So it's my calling card when I get to certain doors. But I think the blessing for me is for somebody to say, you know, I listened to your music and it kept my mind straight. You helped me get through a really bad breakup. I played your song when, you know, my child passed away. These are the kinds of accolades that are, to me, greater than anything because I become the part of the fabric of people's lives that I never, ever get a chance to meet. And so that's been, I think, the greatest accolade that I could ever receive.
And that's why we love you so much. I mean, with your music, with your performances, with this conversation right here, we all feel like you're the best friend in our heads. Put your hands together, all access for Miss Regina Belle. Thank you so much.
Thank
you,
y'all.
Regina.
Thank y'all. I'm done.
Was that fantastic or what?
But I wanted to give them an opportunity if somebody wanted to ask a question. Yeah? Y'all have any questions? Or?
She answered them all. There's
You
one.
can- Really? Well, it's coming Thursday, baby. You're going to still be here, right? I got you. I got you. I got
Love
you.
it.
Okay, I'm sorry, right here.
You know, one thing that I always love your music and everything, but you're the best jazz singer.
Wow. She says she loves my music, but she loves the jazz more than anything. Thank you.
Yes, you know, I was going through Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald. My father was a musician. I grew up listening to everybody. And Carmen McRae.
Yes.
The first cruise I went on was a jazz cruise in 1970-something, Rotterdam, Holland, America.
Yes.
Dizzy Gillespie, George Shearing, Mel Lewis, Chet
Wow.
Jones.
Okay, so let me do this for you right quick, right? Watch this. Spagada beep beep but we are Shabiba do ba diggy out blah you da do da deep dee dee blah you da do da you da you da you bleed out sweet dee deep dee da blow da da dee da blah do da do da do da dee do beep bleep boop beep we do beep bop blah do da da we dum we. That was A-Train.
Whoa. Regina.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
You came to Omaha for our Christmas program from
Yes.
Church.
Yes.
That's my pastor, Bacchus.
Come on, get his name right, baby.
Cute Bacchus.
Yes.
And Miss Bacchus then told me to tell you hi. I don't know if you know that he had lost his mom.
Oh, wow.
Right after you left. And I seen when you was out playing in the snow, Nebraska snow.
Thank you so,
So
much
listen,
for
I'm
that.
sorry to say that was our last question, and we're gonna have to get out of here because we got a whole lot to do on the Soul Train cruise.
Thank
so
y'all
I
so
want to
much.
thank you guys, and
Thank
you guys
you
need
so
to give her
much.
a round of applause, okay?
Regina Belle.